Pharaonic absolutism, an essential concept in understanding ancient Egyptian governance, revolves around the idea that the pharaoh, the king of Egypt, was not only the political ruler but also a divine figure. This unique form of governance intertwined religious authority and political power, establishing the pharaoh as both a temporal and spiritual leader. In ancient Egypt, this divine kingship was deeply embedded in the culture, religion, and politics, shaping Egyptian society for millennia. The concept of the pharaoh as a divine ruler. At the core of Pharaonic absolutism was the belief that the pharaoh was the living god on earth, the intermediary between the gods and the people. Ancient Egyptians viewed their king as the embodiment of Horus, the god of kingship, and the earthly representative of Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This duality of the pharaoh's role as both a ruler of the living and a bridge to the divine world elevated the monarch to an extraordinary status, surpassing that of mere mortals. The pharaoh's title, Lord of the Two Lands, referred to his sovereignty over both Upper and Lower Egypt, symbolizing unity and control. His divine nature was further reinforced by the assumption of God's powers, where he was considered the son of Ra, the sun god, and therefore had divine blood. Ra was considered the king of the gods, and the pharaoh's connection to this powerful deity meant that his authority was unquestionable. The role of the pharaoh in Egyptian society. The pharaoh's role extended beyond being a political ruler. He was the central figure in Egyptian religion and culture. He performed sacred rituals and ensured the proper functioning of Egypt's divine order, the Ma'at, which maintained cosmic balance and harmony. The concept of Ma'at was a central tenet in Egyptian thought, encompassing truth, justice, and divine order. As the earthly representative of the gods, the pharaoh's responsibility was to preserve this balance and ensure the prosperity of the nation. His ability to maintain Ma'at was seen as a direct cause of Egypt's success or failure, with the stability of the kingdom believed to depend on his actions. In addition to ruling politically, the pharaoh played a key role in the religious life of Egypt. He was the chief priest of all the temples, performing rituals and offerings to the gods. The great temples of Egypt were not only places of worship, but also centers of economic and political power. The pharaoh's relationship with the gods was crucial, as his divine favor was considered essential for Egypt's agricultural prosperity, military victories, and overall well-being. The pharaoh's power and authority. The pharaoh's power was absolute. He was the ultimate authority in all matters of state, military, religion, and law. Unlike monarchs in other ancient civilizations, the pharaoh was not merely a political leader, but a god-king whose will was supreme. The absolute nature of pharaonic rule is reflected in the way Egyptian kingship was structured. The monarch was not limited by any form of checks or balances. There was no independent judicial system or rival centers of power. The pharaoh's decrees were the law, and his decisions were final. In times of crisis, such as invasions or rebellions, the pharaoh's role as a military commander became paramount. The king would lead Egypt's armies into battle, often represented as a mighty warrior who would protect Egypt from its enemies. Military success was seen as a direct result of the pharaoh's divine favor, and his role as protector of the realm was central to his reign. Moreover, the pharaoh had control over Egypt's vast resources, including land, labor, and wealth. The pharaoh owned all the land in Egypt, and the people worked for him, either directly or indirectly. The state's wealth came from the agricultural surplus produced by the people, which was collected through a complex system of taxation and tribute. The pharaoh's control over resources allowed him to fund monumental building projects, such as the construction of the pyramids, temples, and other architectural wonders. The pharaoh and the afterlife. A crucial element of pharaonic absolutism was the pharaoh's connection to the afterlife. Ancient Egyptians believed in an eternal life that existed beyond death, and the pharaoh was central to this belief. The king's journey into the afterlife was seen as vital for the continued prosperity of Egypt. The pharaoh was believed to join the gods after death, becoming one with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and continuing to ensure the protection and well-being of the kingdom from the realm of the dead. This belief in the divine kingship and the afterlife led to the construction of elaborate burial sites, such as the pyramids. The pharaoh's tomb was not merely a resting place, but a divine sanctuary. The pyramid, as the most iconic of these burial sites, was designed to ensure the king's safe passage into the afterlife, where he would continue his divine role. The pharaoh's tomb was filled with treasures, food, and offerings that were intended to accompany the king into the afterlife. The most famous example of this is the tomb of Tutankhamun, which contained an abundance of artifacts designed to help him in his journey to the afterlife. The importance of the pharaoh's afterlife also extended to the construction of grand mortuary temples and the performance of rituals by priests to honor the king's soul. Pharaohs and the concept of absolutism. The idea of absolutism in the Pharaonic system was not solely based on the king's divine status, but also on the centralization of power. The Egyptian state was highly bureaucratic, with the pharaoh at the top of the hierarchical structure. Below him were the viziers, officials, priests, and scribes, who were responsible for administering the vast empire. These officials acted as the pharaoh's agents, carrying out his orders and ensuring that his will was enforced throughout the kingdom. The pharaoh's ability to centralize power was facilitated by the strong bureaucracy and administrative system. The pharaoh's decrees were transmitted through a network of officials who oversaw various aspects of governance, such as taxation, agriculture, law, and military affairs. This system allowed the pharaoh to maintain control over every aspect of Egyptian life, from the harvest to the military to the administration of justice. Despite the immense power held by the pharaoh, Egypt was not an autocracy in the modern sense. While the pharaoh's authority was absolute, it was grounded in religious belief and the social contract between the ruler and the ruled. The pharaoh was expected to govern justly and maintain order, and his legitimacy depended on fulfilling his divine duties. If a pharaoh failed in his role, it was believed that Ma'at would be disrupted, and chaos would ensue. The Egyptians saw their king's rule as part of a cosmic order that was essential for the survival of the state. Pharaonic absolutism was a defining feature of ancient Egyptian governance. The concept of the divine kingship, in which the pharaoh was both a political leader and a god on earth, formed the foundation of Egyptian society. The pharaoh's power was absolute, but it was intertwined with his religious duties, his role as the protector of Egypt, and his responsibility to maintain the balance of Ma'at. This divine kingship provided stability to Egypt for thousands of years, allowing it to flourish as one of the most successful and enduring civilizations in history. The pharaoh's legacy continues to influence our understanding of power, religion, and governance today, as the concept of a divine ruler remains one of the most fascinating aspects of ancient Egyptian culture.